Yep. We've all been there. Like it or not, sooner or later in your high school career, you need to take state tests at the end of the year. Freshman year, in the middle of May, you must regurgitate everything you've learned throughout the year for algebra and biology. For sophomore year, the subject is literature. For us fellow Pennsylvanians, this test is called Keystone exams. Unfortunately, not everybody passes. Most kids have to retake the test until they pass just so they can limp their way to graduation, because this is a graduation requirement. I studied my ass off for those biology and algebra tests, but apparently, I missed by a few questions. One question for biology and a few questions for algebra. It wasn't like I missed 15 questions. I missed one fucking question. I am super frustrated. I'm completely demotivated. I am very depressed, and I've lost all my hope on school. I passed my bio and algebra classes with A's and B's, and I still couldn't pass this Keystone. So, what better way to express my frustrations than vent to my subscribers? Because, to be honest, I'm very depressed by how this situation turned out, and I just wanted you all to know what's been going on. Here's what I'm getting at. This test sucks. The teachers are putting on too much pressure to their students, and only to teach this test. And the guys who made this test make a ton of money, kids are freaking out, and don't know what to do other than act out, usually by doing drugs or alcohol. Now let's begin. I can safely say that everyone in my class thinks 9th grade biology is the worst subject in human existence. I mean, why not? The material we learned was completely new and unlike anything we've ever seen before. It's difficult, it's in-depth, it's a lot of information, and it's presented damn fast. It's introduced so fast that we don't even have time to think about it. Plus, you can get an A in biology or algebra and still fail on the Keystone, because the way it's presented on the test makes no sense whatsoever. The Keystone is completely different from class material, quizzes, and tests. The teachers hate the Keystones because they're the ones that have to teach the material on a timetable paced to the exam, not kids' learning abilities. But if the teachers don't like the test either, then what's the point of even taking it? 4 words. No Child Left Behind. The No Child Left Behind Act became legislation in 2001 when George W. Bush was in office. It was originally intended to give every child an equal education, which was measured by standardized testing on basic skills. Each state was required to develop these tests, and if the student's performance didn't match the requirements, the school received less funding. I'm sorry, but on the basic skills part, how is any of this horseshit even remotely considered basic? This is like college-level material, and the questions are intentionally written to trip you up. They don't want to know if you know the material. They're looking for understanding and application of the material. Those are two very different things. I can have an understanding of biological principles and still struggle to apply that knowledge. For example, I have memorized the processes of meiosis and mitosis, but will easily get confused when asked whether an enzyme will affect one versus the other. I'm 15 years old. I have a diagnosed learning disability. Of course I'm going to get confused. I would have to ask follow-up questions to make sure I understand what the test is asking me. But I'm not allowed to ask anyone to even make sure I understand those questions. I feel like most of the Keystone is just testing my ability to be a detective and figure out what the fuck it's asking me. That's not even getting into whether I understand the correct information and can then apply it somehow. This is not basic. Most of the time I know the answer and can figure out how to apply what I know. But if I can't understand the question, what chance do I have of getting the right answer? Why is this test so convoluted? Why is every question so fucking ambiguous? It does make me suspicious, and I do have some questions. How many kids fail simply because they don't understand the questions the way they're worded on the Keystones? What the hell is this test measuring? My ability to read and execute on a college level? Or the success the district has teaching me this goddamn material? Who and what is being measured here? Why do I have to report the Keystone on my Common app for college admissions? It isn't an accepted standardized test, anything other than securing funding for my school district. Yeah, sure, I need to focus and be serious about my education and perform to a certain level. That's my grades. My GPA! Not a one-time 4-hour snapshot of my performance that relies upon memory, overcoming my disabilities, and the stress and pressure of knowing that my performance will affect how much money my school earns to educate other kids. No pressure. No. None at fucking all. So, in the state of Pennsylvania, you can only take the Keystones twice for each subject area. And after failing twice, you have to complete a project-based assessment, or PBA for short. Every time a student takes this exam, someone makes money, at the very most twice. Since almost all of my friends have to retake this exam, someone somewhere is making money off of our repeat testing. If you have to repeat the exams for algebra, biology, and literature, the company would make money for 6 exams. Multiply that by every student in the state that has to retake this. I find it very interesting that they made the test so difficult that kids have to repeat it. It's not in the company's interest to make it easier, because they have a business to run. It's not about learning anything. It's just about bringing in the fucking bank. The cash! So pretty much the whole reason why we took such difficult biology and algebra classes freshman year was because the administration was prepping for us to take the Keystone. This is not for practical knowledge. This is literally the Wikipedia definition of teaching to the test. We have worksheets and assessments that have no damn value whatsoever. These are not for a grade. It's only for Keystone practice. And it's on top of our regular schoolwork. We have from August until May to race through and learn everything. And then, BAM! Review packet 5 days before the test. It basically feels like, take 2 energy drinks and call me when you're finished. Actually, no. It's more like that scene from Home Alone where they're running through the airport and Run Run Rudolph is playing in the background. Only they're not trying to catch a flight. They're trying to review for a test that has no damn value whatsoever. Plus, in the end, if you and your classmates get good scores, your school gets more funding! No wonder they're putting on so much pressure. They need the money for their school budget. I mean, Christ, it wouldn't surprise me if kids started doing drugs or alcohol or even started harming themselves because there is so much pressure brought on by this test. Ooh, study for this test. Ooh, study for that test. Ooh, study for this state test that determines how much money we make as a school. Shut the fuck up. Speaking from my experience, I think there is quite a big connection between this test and mental health. This test adds to the deterioration of our well-being. I mean, just look at me. I'm spending a ton of hours trying to figure out box and whisker plots when I could be preparing for my career goal as a screenwriter just so I can fail by one fucking question? I'm depressed and demotivated as all hell, and I'm willing to admit that. Why? Because this test is fucking bullshit. This is a complete waste of time, and I'm sick of it. I'm not going to need to know meiosis to be a screenwriter. I'm not going to need to know box and whisker plots when I'm finished with school. To further my point on this, I have a copy of the Pennsylvania Keystone preparation booklet for biology. One of the questions is, the law of conservation of energy states that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only change in form and move from place to place. An ATP molecule in an animal cell is used for energy. Explain how the energy reached the ATP molecule from its original source. If we have any adults watching this video, have you ever had someone walk up to you and ask that question in public? Unless you're a scientist, you should say no, because there's no way you need to know that to get a job or be a high-functioning member of society. Like, the administration just shuttles us on through until we're completely done with school. After that, they don't give a flying horse's ass about you. The teachers care about us, I will admit that. Yet, they have to teach us this shit because their jobs are on the line. The administration only cares about ranking and exam scores so that their schools can get more money. Like, don't we have enough to do? This test doesn't count for anything useful. Why can't we just learn and have the grown-ups secure the money for us to learn? Even if I had a physical disability that prohibited me from writing, or if I was blind, I still wouldn't be able to get out of this test. They would just give accommodations. Like, if you can't read because you're blind, they have versions of the test in Braille. Or, if you can't write, they'd have someone write it for you. I know there is a way to get out of this test because I know a ton of kids with IEPs who do not have to take it. I have an IEP, but because I'm mainstreamed in regular education classrooms and get good grades, I'm considered to be a normal student. And I have to take this test. Well, guess what? It's not just hard for everybody else. It's hard for people like me the most. We can't focus. We can't understand. These people are not teaching us the way we need to be taught. This test is on a whole nother level of inexplicability, but the way the teachers are teaching this to us, that's bad too. They just think we understand what's going on, and they just keep going through, because they are on a time crunch. Well, not all disabilities can be seen, guys. Anxiety, depression, processing delays, autism, ADHD, dyslexia. Any learning disability affects our standardized test performance. The way our brains are wired, we can't do jack shit unless the test is reformatted to make any sense to anyone with a learning disability. Actually, you know what? I want the administrators to take this test. I want them to put the time and energy in of studying non-stop for topics that are inexplicably hard and take the test over and over again until they pass. I want them to do this on top of their regular daily work. Maybe then they'd understand where we're coming from, because the way this test is presented makes no sense. It has no structure so that we as kids can understand. The pace is too fast, it's too much information, it's too in-depth, and the Keystone questions are intentionally made confusing. There isn't enough time to repeat or reinforce difficult topics, and there sure as hell isn't enough time to review anything. Like, these administrators are setting us up to fail. They expect us to know this shit, but when you don't, you have to repeat the test. And do that damn PBA too if that doesn't work out. I know it sucks, but it's currently the society we live in nowadays. So, what are we gonna do? What's this video gonna change, huh? It's not gonna change a fucking thing. How can I, a single student who has the right to express my frustrations, go up against an entire State Department of Education that doesn't know jack shit about how to teach kids? I don't know. If I'm the only one, I'll shut up. Fuck you, George Bush. Thanks for your overhaul in American education.